Right, thanks everybody for joining us again for another WKS interview podcast. This time I'm with a band called Torrid, and we have Will, Sarah, and Lorna. How's everybody doing?
Good, thanks.
Yeah,
Very good.
Brilliant, brilliant. So shall we start with Sarah then? And sort of, do you want to tell us how you got into music in the first place?
So I've been singing and songwriting for a long time. My dad was a barbershop singer, and so I sort of learned to harmonize and sing before I could, walk or do anything else really. And I was in a few covers bands and running open mic nights and stuff like that. And I started writing again, I think beginning of 2019, and I just had some ideas. So I just reached out to people I knew on Facebook to see if anyone was interested, and Ads, our guitarist, got in touch. Wow. So we started jamming and it was sounding really good. And Ads is like what I call the joiner. So he puts all my pieces together into sort of functional songs. And then we put an ad out for a bassist, and Lorna applied, and we had a chat and we just got on really well. Right. So we put about 6 songs together and then started looking for a drummer, and that's when we found Will, and that was it. We got together.
Brilliant. What about yourself, Lorna, then? So where did it start for you, sort of musically?
Where did it start? I think it started when I was about 5, and my mother chose the violin for me, which she had no musical knowledge herself and no idea how hard an instrument that actually is.
Yes,
yeah. I always hated it. Kept it up for quite a long time, but yeah, guitar was always my thing. Played electric guitar for years, and then kind of came to Brighton to the music college, realised that bassists are far more in demand than guitarists, and I actually quite like playing the bass. So yeah, bass is kind of, it's not been my thing long term, but yeah.
But she's really good at it.
Oh, thanks.
Superb. What about yourself, Will?
Well, my mum was a heavy metaler, my dad was a mod, and my dad had a drum kit in the garage, and I was like, oh, this is cool. So I went to college, studied performance and composition, studied music production. I just kind of did it, and then kind of a few years later, because I'm pretty techie as well, I was like, you know what, music production is pretty cool as well. And yeah, I just kind of played with bands over the years and toured around a bit. And then yeah, the not so epic story of Sarah put an ad up looking for a drummer. I was like, oh, well, that sounds cool.
Yeah.
I generally tend to make my life decision based on, does it sound cool? Yeah, I met up, had a coffee. She was all right, I guess. And and then yeah, here we are now.
Superb. So describe your music then. Let's say Sarah again. So describe your sound.
I really struggle with this because I don't really think I truly understand all the music terms that are out there these days. But I basically write what I want to hear, which is melodic, heavy, proggy, catchy music. So what, like the stuff that I'm into, like Skunk Anansie, Alice in Chains, Muse, anything with big fat sounds, but that it's really melodic and lots of harmonies. That's kind of what I write, and I'm really lucky that I've got 2 other singers in the band, and quite a heavy drummer as well. So what do you reckon? Grungy, proggy rock, new metal?
Okay.
There's no one word to describe this band, clearly.
Right. No, fair play. So your creative process then, I mean, Will, you said you're quite techie, so I'm assuming you have quite an input on that side of it. So your creative process, how does it start?
Yeah, so I think generally a song starts its life with Sarah, and she writes some really great lyrics and this awesome guitar melodies and riffs, and then I think Ads kind of jams it out with her, and they kind of develop that. And then Lorna generally gets involved before I do as well. We bring it into a practice room. I kind of think, oh, what sort of drums, am I envisioning for this? Is it kind of Queens of the Stone Age, or is it more of a Metallica thing? Then we jam that out, create the song, and then bring it into the studio. And kind of me and Sarah have been producing a lot, but that's mainly only because of lockdown. It's been us two. I'm sure if that wasn't the case, we'd all be in the studio together developing these songs. But we do have a back and forth between us all, about production ideas and stuff. But it's a pretty organically flowing process between all of us, I'd say.
Right, brilliant. So obviously, with the lockdown and everything, it's curtailed a lot of the live stuff, the getting together. So did you find that the band was able to do this sort of process online, if you like?
Yeah. So I've got my own studio, which is very, very lucky because, sticking to restrictions, I can probably have one or two people in there at a time. So yeah, it's been hard. Well, it hasn't been hard. It's just been a bit different, The songs, they're great, and I'm really proud of how they've turned out. And I like to think that everyone's had the sort of right amount of input that, you can almost expect from a usual recording and production session. But yeah, it's definitely been different. But with, the internet and remote sharing and stuff like that, it's been a lot easier.
Right. Sarah, obviously, you sound like the person that brings a lot of the lyrics and things, melody and what have you. Lockdown wise, how did you find it, productive wise for you? Did you shut it down, or was it very productive?
It's been really interesting because I think there's been phases where I've kind of, like January, like specifically this year, I wrote 4 songs in 3 weeks, which is quite unusual for me. But then because we've been focusing so much on getting the album together and the production side, I've been so consumed with those ideas. I haven't really had space to kind of develop anything fully a lot of the time. So, I kind of, I bug Will all the time, sending him like, I think we should put some strings in here, and I've got a really good recording idea for some wacky vocals, and he just has to kind of go with it. And that's where most of my energy's been sort of channeled. And then just occasionally we kind of zone out from that, have a little break, and then I try and get back into the writing again. It's been a challenge.
Yes, I imagine. Okay,
it feels like
sorry.
It feels like something really positive came out of lockdown, and being really gutted not to be able to play gigs. So we decided to put an album together instead. So to me, that's like a massively productive and really positive thing that we've done, that actually we wouldn't, if without lockdown, we wouldn't have an album together right now. Because we're focusing on gigging and
that's
stuff.
true. That is true. And we were really lucky in that every time we found, like, there was a window between lockdowns, we were like, right, can we get in the studio next week? And it just kind of worked, that we've managed to get into a recording studio literally every time the restrictions were lifted. So in that respect, we kind of took advantage of it as much as we could. But I think Lorna's right. I think if we hadn't have been bored and aimless, we might not have done as much work as we have. So
okay, do you want to talk to us about the album then, sort of how it came about? Well, we know how it came about, the lockdown and that sort of stuff, but is it an EP, is it a full album, tracks, and how it developed really?
So it's a full album, 11 tracks. One's a live acoustic recording that we actually went up to Will's garden and set up in the garden on a beautiful sunny day and recorded live. Everything else we've done, like I say, just grabbed opportunities where we can. They're songs dating back from when I first started writing when I was 19, which was, nearly 3 years ago now. And right through to something that I wrote very, very recently that we just loved and kind of stuck in, as another track. So I'm so happy with it. already, and it's not even entirely finished yet. We've got lots of nice little nuances in there. We've got an a cappella harmony section. We've got Lorna's guide dog, Mac. We've got him on there.
Brilliant.
We've got Bright Seaside. We've got all sorts of things.
Okay, so Will, when is it going to be out there, and where can people get hold of your music, basically?
I don't know if I can answer that because it's the release date's a bit of a tricky one. I think Sarah should probably take care of that.
Okay. Go on then, Sarah.
Okay. Well, so we've just been signed to a local label called Lights and Lines, who actually run, well, they do loads of stuff around Sussex, but they're running a music festival in Hove in November, and we applied to play that and we got it. And then basically they said, we're also setting up a label, we're really interested. So they've kind of taken us on, which is really exciting and very trusting because they've not heard all the album yet. So very trusting. So they want to put it out early next year. So we're aiming hopefully for February, but we'd like to get, we're going to try and do another single this year, and then probably a single with the album release early next year would be the plan at the moment, I think. Forgiving a fourth wave in the middle of all that, we'll see.
Who knows? Yeah, who knows? So where can people actually get hold of your music then, Will?
So currently there's a couple of singles on Spotify and all the major streaming platforms. There are, I think, 3 demo versions of tracks, and then we've got one, the official first single from the album, Hold Over Me. And then when it's released, the whole album will be again available on all major streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, etc. And then I think there'll be physical releases as well. Definitely CDs. Thinking about maybe some cassettes. If you really want to go retro, we would love to put it out on vinyl, but the vinyl distribution channel has been a bit screwed up recently. All material shortages and stuff. So maybe eventually. But yeah, when it comes out, streaming platforms, and yeah, there'll be some physical releases.
Superb. So are you guys, Sarah, are you guys back gigging again yet?
Yeah, literally just Friday just gone, we had our first gig of the year. Well, first gig in 18 months for us, which you can imagine is like torture for a bunch of musicians. No, the gig was amazing. We were really happy. We sold out all the tickets. We had like, I don't know, 20 other people asking for more, didn't we? It was fab. It was a really good night. We had an amazing support band called Fall of the Ziggurat. You should check them out as well. And yeah, it was so much fun. But, you know, I guess like all musicians will tell you, everyone wants to gig, everyone wants to play. The competition is huge, not to mention, you know, all the big bands that have already delayed gigs and postponed gigs. So it's tough. It's tough out there. I'm hopeful that we'll get a few more. There's sort of channels opening up all the time, and we're quite good at networking and you know, getting known out there. So at the moment, we've just got the all-dayer at the Brunswick in November, which looks amazing. There's I think 20 full bands and an acoustic stage, all within the Brunswick pub in Hove, which will be immense.
And it's a tenner.
And it's a tenner. What's not love?
Excellent. Yeah. Excellent.
And that's called the Off the Record Festival. So we're really excited about that. But yeah, obviously we'd like to play more. So book us, people, please book us.
Brilliant. Okay, Will, what's the best bit of musical advice you've ever been given?
Oh man, that's very tricky. I don't know about the single best piece of advice that I was ever given, but I was on a management label and publishing label for 3 years, and I chose to leave. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't quite what I wanted, and the main reason for that was I couldn't be myself. So the best advice that I would give anyone is be yourself and do not let anyone stop you from doing that, because it will just hold you back creatively and, you know, mentally as well. So I guess the best advice that I gave myself and the people around me gave me was be yourself.
Perfect. Perfect. What about Lorna? What's the best bit of advice you've been given?
Oh my God. I can't think of one individual piece of advice, but I think one thing I really took from weirdly my violin teacher, even though I hated the violin, was the one thing she did with me. It was really train my ears so that I could pretty much listen to any piece of music and learn how to play it just by ear. And I think it's such a valuable skill, and I use it all the time. And I think that's probably the most valuable skill that a music teacher ever offered to me, and she spent a long time working on that.
Superb.
So my mum always reminds me of this every time I talk about how much I hated the violin.
What about yourself, Sarah?
I think I would say don't write and do what you think people want. Write and do what you want, because it will ultimately come across better. It will be more respected and you'll be happy. And what's the point in writing stuff if you're not going to be happy with it?
Yeah, very good, very good. Yes. So as a band, if you could open up for any other band or artist,
good question.
you know, who would you choose, basically? So in the spotlight, we'll go with you straight away, Sarah, to give the others a chance to think.
I mean, the band that comes to mind for me is Skunk Anansi. They've been heroes of mine. Like, they were like one of the first heavy bands I ever heard, and they blew my mind. I love Skin. I think she's a huge role model and idol of mine. She's a fantastic vocalist and performer and person. So if I could get on stage with them, I could die very happy the next day.
Lorna, as you're there, what about yourself?
Okay, I'm going to be very brave here, because this is where people want to slap me in the face. Is one of my top favourite bands is Nickelback, and people hate me for that.
Okay.
But they are such a good live band that if you opened up for them, you'd have a sellout crowd for starters.
Yeah.
I'd do it.
And they're honestly a very, very good live band, and massively, massively underrated. My second choice would be Metallica as well.
Brilliant. Will?
Alive, Queens of the Stone Age, probably, because I've seen them a few times and their shows are immense, the crowds are immense, and you know, personally, just to get to meet and hang with them all, that would be something else. But probably a band that's no longer with us, probably Nirvana, just because I feel like that would just be fun. You know, it would just be a mess of fun.
Do you think Pat would like it?
I'd be afraid to get his opinion on it. But hey, if we were playing, you know, just before them, I'm sure he would.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So moving forward, the plans for moving forward, I'm assuming, is to get the album out there and to gig. Is that the whole plan?
Pretty much my life ambition.
Yeah, life ambition, like Lorna says.
Get the album out, gig,
Superb.
play music, get heard.
Yeah.
You know, if we could sell a few copies of the album, that'd be nice. But
I'm going to do it anyway.
We're going to do it anyway, and we're going to keep playing. And I'm starting the second album. Well, I've got 4 songs already for the second album, so we'll do that next year. You ready for that, Will?
Provisionally, yes.
Superb. Right. Final question. I ask everybody this question. So if I start with Will, that'll definitely give the other two an advantage, really. So Will, is there anybody that you would like to thank for you being here musically now?
Oh man. Well, I've kind of got to say my parents, haven't I? Because they introduced me to such, defining music at such a young age. That was really essential. Also my drum tutor in college, Justin Welch, he was not only a drum tutor, but kind of, he probably shouldn't have been saying this to drum kids, but he was telling us all the stories about when he was on tour and all the things he did. And that was kind of inspiring as a teenager. but then also gave me the musical professionalism to progress that. So definitely that. And there's a whole bunch of people, but you know, in this situation, they're probably the main lot.
Brilliant. Let's go with Lorna.
Okay. I mean, yeah, family is cliche, isn't it? But they definitely, mum and dad supported all musical ventures, and probably a lot of noise. And then I think it was coming down here and going to BIM and all the guitar tutors I had there, even though that wasn't on the bass, they give you a lot of confidence. And actually my last ever assessed performance I did at BIM was on the bass, and one of the tutors who was there just looked at me and said, "You should have been playing bass the whole time," which I wasn't sure if that was an insult to my guitar playing or a compliment to the bass, but I'll take it. Maybe it was true.
Lovely.
And and I just want to thank Sarah for letting me be in her band, for God's sake. That's
Thanks for playing.
What about yourself, Sarah, then?
Oh, it's really hard, isn't it? I mean, yeah, obviously parents, dad was a big influence. My mum was really musical as well. So like loads and loads of influences from the family point of view. But I guess like just people I know that performed wonderful things, you know, like friends and maybe now enemies, who over the years I've seen do amazing things, and it's kind of inspired me to just see if I can do it and to try and find the confidence from somewhere. And yeah, and also I think, you know, my bandmates, because I often feel like I'm the weakest link in the band, and they're nice enough to say that I'm not. So you know, it's playing with people that are better than you makes you a stronger, better musician. So yeah, all those people have inspired me, and thanks.
You're so wrong.
Brilliant guys. Look, thanks so much for the time for the interview, and good luck releasing the album and getting gigs and getting out there more.
Thank
you so much. Yeah,
no worries. You guys take care.
Yeah, you too. Thanks.
All right, cheers.